I have put up a link to this number lines, page of number lines PDF, and this is some of how I might imagine using it. So this is just going to be open blank number lines with tick marks that you fill in and actually make them into number lines, and then you can model whatever you want to model. So I'm going to show a couple of problems that that might come up, for example, in this week's class. So I'm going to work in layer 2. Okay. So for example, we have make a number line and plot the points 4, 15, and 28. So in order to make a number line, this is not a number line as it is. It needs to be a number line. So I'm going to put a 0 somewhere. I'm just going to put it here. I know that I need to go 28 to the right. I hope that this is enough. And in general, just as with other models, I think it's important to get some easy to read groupings. So I have a tendency to plot my number lines by 5s, and I encourage you to do the same unless there's special circumstances that it would make it better to do it otherwise. So I'm going to count here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and maybe I'll just label every 10, but I'll put the tick marks every 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, that makes it 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to be 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. And that is good enough to complete this problem. So 4 is 1 less than 5, and I'm going to label that 4. 15 is right here. And 28 is 2 less than 30, so there is 28. Okay, and so this is part of what I was saying, is seeing how things group according to 5s really helps you break down the numbers and see their components. So 28, 8 is 3 more than 5, and it is 2 less than 10. So 28 is 3 above 25, and it is 2 less than 30. Okay, so here's another one that says make a number line and plot the points 438 and 452. Now, very clearly, I do not have over 400 tick marks here, so we're going to have to do something different. And one thing to notice is you don't actually have to use, you don't have to have a 0 every time. So both of these numbers are pretty close together. They're like less than 20 apart. So how about if I just say 430 is here? And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be 435. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be 440. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 445. 1, 2, 3, 4. 450. 1, 2, 3, 4. 455. 1, 2, 3, 4. 460. Now I can actually put both of these numbers on there. 438 is 2 before 440. And 452 is 2 after 450. Okay, so I'm putting a little mark exactly on the point on the number line where that number is, and I'm labeling it. Another thing that you could do if you wanted is instead of putting a point there, you could say, put a little arrow that says this is where 452 is. Up to you. Either way, you should, and it would help to put a little tick mark or something on the number line. You don't want to have a big fat circle, and you don't want to, but you do want to point to it somehow. Okay. So now we're going to look at using number lines to model some addition. 13 plus 12, you can think of this as starting at 13 and then adding 12. So I want to show where 13 is. I'm going to go ahead and start from 0 on this. Here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 30. Okay, so starting at 13. So here's 13. We start there and we're going to add 12. So notice, I want you to notice that when we're talking about this 13, this is a mark on the number line, but really that is not 13 tick marks. What that means is there are 13 spaces from 0 up to that number, okay? So there are, this is like if you look at a ruler, when you see that mark that says 2 inches, that number right there isn't 2 inches. That measures the length is 2 inches from the 0. So this is 13 units or spaces long. So in the same way, we're going to add 12 spaces to that. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spaces. But I want to kind of get accustomed to using the structure of the numbers. So instead of doing that, I'm going to say, well, 12 is 10 and 2. So since each of these groups is 5, if I go from this spot, which is 3 past this marker, and I go over here to the same corresponding part, which is 3 past this marker and 2 before the other marker, so I go 3 past this 5 marker and 2 less than that, then that makes a plus 5. So I can go plus 5 and plus 5 and plus 2. So what I've done is I've added 12 there. And I end up at 25. So once again, I'm starting at 13 and I'm adding 12, but I'm adding 12 by actually breaking that down into parts, by adding 5, 10, 11, 12. So 13, I have 13 plus 12, where I ended up at was 25. Okay, let's do another one. 23 plus 19. I think I have enough. Let me see again. This looks like it was 30. Maybe I don't have quite enough. I'm going to start numbering at 31, 2. Yeah, I don't quite have enough. I'm going to start numbering I'm going to just start numbering at 20, just for fun. Here's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 35. 1, 2, 3, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 45. 50. So I'm going to start at 23. That's 2 before 25. So start at 23. And I'm going to add 19. So I want to try this in 2 different ways. And I'm actually, I'm going to add a new layer in case I want to erase. Add a layer. Okay. So let me try a different color too. So adding 19. I'm going to start here and I'm going to add 19. So one way that I can do this is similar to the previous one. I can add 5s at a time. So here's plus 5, and then plus 5, and then plus 5. So I've added 5, 10, 15, and then 16, 17, 18, 19. So plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, and plus 4, and that lands me at, I can see here, 42. Okay. Another way to do this is so I can also skip by tens. So if I see, since I labeled by tens, oops, let me erase this. I didn't mean to label that one. So since I've labeled by tens, I can sort of skip to 3 past the 10. Here's a 10 mark. 3 past the 10 mark adds 10. So I can go plus 10. And instead of adding 9, I'm actually going to add 10. So that's another 3 past the 10. So 23 plus 10 plus 10 is 43. And then I'm going to back off 1. I'm going to subtract 1. And again, I end up at 42. In both of these ways, I get 23 plus 19 equals 42. Okay, so here's a couple of ways to use the number lines, and a lot of this is very individual. You can do these in whatever way makes sense to you, but I want to see you use the structure of the numbers and also make a practice of labeling your number lines by 5s. Okay, so there's this page of number lines has 2 pages of number lines, and you can write down your own problems in there. And if you don't want the page of number lines, you can also just use grid paper. Okay, the grid paper can do the same thing for you, and so I'm going to show how to do this. I haven't actually tested to see if this will, if I can get these numbers all the way across, but I'm going to start way over here. Here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this is not going to get us far enough because I have to start here, 38, and then add 27. That's not going to get me far enough, so I'm going to leave my tick marks there and just change what numbers I put on them. And I'm going to say this is 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. Okay, this should be all right. And now I'm going to start at 38. And I'm going to add 27. So I can add 20 and then 7. I can also add 30 and then subtract 3. I can also add 7 first and then add 20. There's lots of different ways I can break this down. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 7 first. I just feel like I know that 8 plus 7 is 15, so I'm going to add that 7 first. And something else I can see here is I can add 2 and then add 5. That's my adding 7. So that's adding 7, and I need to add 20 more. So here's plus 10, and another plus 10, and I ended up at 65. So now this is 38 plus 27 is 65. And if I was to do this mentally, I do 38, 2 more gives me 40, and then 5 more gives me 45. So that's 38 plus 7 is 45, and then 45 plus 20 is 65. All right, so here's a couple of ways to look at how to do number lines, and I urge you to practice making these pictures with number lines, doing these operations with number lines to help connect you to the meaning of some of these calculations. And you can do it either with the page of number lines that you print out or using grid paper and making your own number lines on there.